Welcome to the first episode of Enges. In this episode, I will show you a trick that many guitarists use that makes them seem much more advanced than they sometimes really are. Basically, it are 12 different chord shapes than your normal chord shapes. They are higher on the neck and they seem much more cooler when you play them, but they aren't actually more difficult to play. Oh, and before I forget, please watch the entire video because at the end I will show you 2 additional tricks that will make chord changes much more easy. It just are 2 little tiny tips, but I think you will appreciate them. Back to the video. To understand how we get to these new chord shapes, we first have to understand some basic rules about the guitar. A basic rule in the guitar world, or with the guitar at least, is that when you take a chord shape in the first position, you can always just move it higher on the frets, and as long as you bar correctly, it will be a new chord. The ones mostly used, or the chord shapes that are mostly used for this are E major, E minor, A major and A minor. You can do it with other shapes as well. Some are just not very handy, like. But how do we get to those new chord shapes? There are 2 ways to approach these new chord shapes. The first one is to take a chord shape higher on the neck and simplify it later. The other one is to just search for the strings that are not yet chord notes and then fret these strings so they become chord notes. But how do we do that? Well, there is something special going on with E major, A major, D major and their minor variants. Why? Because the bass notes of the guitar are E, A and D. You see the connection? If we, for example, take A major over here. Because E and A are already in the chord, we can just remove those 2 fingers. The last highest E is also in the chord, so we just are left over with these 3 fingers. As you can see, this is our new chord shape for A major. We can do the same with E major. If we take it here, in the C shape form, this highest note, we can just forget about that because E is already in the chord. And then the following string is a B. So we can forget about that finger as well. So then we are left over with this. We can do this with D major as well. If we take D major in the A form on the 5th fret, we can again see that we can remove this finger and we get just this chord. And we can just do the same with the minor variants. A minor, we will take it here. Okay, that's not very clear, but anyway, as you probably know by now, we can remove this finger, and we're just left over with this. So that's our new shape of the A minor chord. And again, we can do the same with E minor. And we will get to this new chord. And with D minor. And we will go from this to this. And these aren't the only new chord shapes we can make. We can even go higher on the neck and play the same chords differently again. With A major, we can go as high as here, and this shape will get us A major again. E major, we can get to this chord. And with D major, we can get to this chord. In some cases it starts to sound really different, but that's not the point. The point is that you can play the same chords differently and they will still be the same chord. So we can do this again with the minor variants. With A minor, we can get to this chord. With E minor, we can get to this chord shape. And with D minor, we can get to this chord shape. I don't say you have to use these new chord shapes every time you play these chords, but it just brings a little bit more variation to your playing, I guess. I know that that was probably a lot of information, so here is a summary of this video. We have seen that you can take a chord shape and move it up higher on the neck, and it will become a new chord as many semitones higher as you have moved frets. Then we have seen that there is something special going on with the E, A and D chords, because the bass notes of these chords are the bass notes of the guitar. So when you have a shape from one of these chords that is fretting one of those strings, you can always remove that finger from the chord. We then saw that you can remove even more fingers to come to a new shape. We have seen 12 new shapes. But before you leave this video, I said in the beginning of this video that I had 2 additional tips at the end, and that's true. These 2 tips are just with normal chords in the first position. More specifically, D minor and G. And I just wanted to say that it's much more efficient to play them like this. Classical guitarists do this, I think, just normally, but many other guitarists just play G like this and D minor like this. But it's very hard to change to another chord like that. So I would advise to change this ring finger with the pinky, with D minor. You see, you can change much more easy. And this G, I would just change it totally up and play it so that you are using this pinky. It will take a little bit of practice, but after you're used to this new chord shape, it's not a new chord shape, but to this new fingering, it will be much more easy to switch between chords. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next weird video or my next normal video. I don't know. Anyway, I will see you then.